Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's SAGA session. My name is Tobias Olsson Gran, and I'm the host for these SAGA sessions. And a short mentioning of SAGA is that it's the Swedish Annual Game Design Awards, which is hosted for the second year right now. And if you want to know more about this competition, it's high time to go onto saga.boardgames.se and read more about the competition. Yes, and we host these sessions in collaboration with the Discord server Spel Design Bubble as well. Yes. And for tonight's session, we have invited Axel Widén from the Vi Spelar Rollspel actual play podcast, which is a Swedish long-running tabletop RPG podcast that's been going on for 10 plus years. Yes, I don't think I had anything else to say before we start. So I just pass over to you and welcome to the SAGA sessions.
Thank you, Tobias, and thank you for having me, guys. My name is Axel, and let's just see how this goes as my English warms up a bit. Bear with me. So, who am I? I'm 44 years old. I'm from Gothenburg, Sweden. I used to be a teacher. I'm still an illustrator, a designer, a writer, a digital producer, a metal band. I've done a bunch of stuff, but this is the kind of stuff I like, we might return to some of those later. Currently, I work at the Vi Spel, who do murder mysteries and things like that, and it's my third week now, along with Anton, who's right there in the audience. Yeah. The reason I'm here is that together with my good friend Mikael Medin, I run the Vi Spelar Rollspel actual play podcast. What is it? Yeah, it's an actual play podcast where 6 friends, we meet every other Sunday and we play tabletop role-playing games. And I'm actually going to assume that everybody knows what a tabletop role-playing game is for once. It's very rare to do that in role-playing games, but I will. We started doing this back in 2015, and every Monday since then, with exceptions for vacations every now and then, we released one 1-hour episode every Monday. Right now, it's always very tricky with unique listening numbers when you do a podcast. But ballpark, I'd say somewhere around 2,000 to 3,000 unique listeners. We have a Patreon as well, which provides some financial support. And we have about 240 paying backers right now. We are almost reaching 20,000 Swedish crowns a month. And I don't bring this up to brag, rather I bring it up because I think it's pretty interesting that a couple of friends sitting down to play role-playing games can generate any money at all, to be honest. It's a sort of a little miracle, I think, and that is a little bit what I'm here to talk about. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of the podcast, what has gone well, why I think it went well. It's going to be pretty much my own observations and theories about why things went well. I'll also talk, of course, about some things that didn't quite go as well, some things we tried that didn't really stick or didn't really work, and maybe what we learned from that. Just overall things that I think that I hope I might have learned after doing this for 10 years, 11 now almost. So how is this relevant to you as board game designers or card game designers? And honestly, you tell me, and I hope you will. I hope that we will have some interesting questions, hopefully, after I've run you through this. So yeah, you tell me. But however, from my view, there are a couple of interesting things here that I'd like you to keep in the back of your mind. And the first is that both me and you, we're designing experiences, we're creating experiences for our players. And that is kind of an abstract, zoomed out way for us to find some common ground here, I think, doing these things that we do. I'd also like to talk a little bit about the parasocial relationship. That is kind of a buzzword that's come with digitalization. But I believe it is very, very important to understand why things have gone pretty well for us. And I think, yeah, I'm kind of curious if that could be something that could be utilized in board game design too. I don't know how, but maybe there's something there. Let's find out. So yeah, here is my podcast. We have Aron and Mikael, Anneli, myself in the middle, Josefin, and Henrik. This picture is from 2024. And as you can see, we're basically 6 kind of semi rock and roll friends who like to hang out and would have hung out even without the podcast, most likely. This is a bit of a summary of what we've been doing since our inception. The main big outline boxes in the top there, those are kind of our main productions, and our main productions are long-running campaigns. And as you can see, one of them has been recurring in 3 different chunks for a total of 4 seasons. And then recently we did a pretty long horror campaign as well. The first really long one was fantasy. Coriolis is science fiction, and Red Markets is zombie horror, or as the author would say, financial horror or economic horror, but that's a different story. Parallel to these main campaigns that we've been releasing for 10 plus years, the not so heavily outlined boxes, the long boxes down below, these are other stuff that we've been doing as well. So it's been various one-shots and experiments that we typically release between our longer campaigns. And then various Patreon-only content, which is where people, they subscribe to additional content, simple as that. Then we also have the annual live show that we do at GothCon every year. And I would assume that most of you guys are familiar with GothCon. So yeah, we come there every year. We do a bit of a live show and we meet listeners, and then we have a few beers. So going back to the beginning, the early days when me and Mikael started this podcast. This image is the characters of our first campaign when we took our first baby steps as podcasters. And the inception of the podcast was me and my good friend Mikael. We've known each other since his late teens and my early 20s, and we played in the same band, so we kind of had established a pretty good common ground and a mutual trust in working together on creative projects. And Mikael, he had just in 2015, he was freshly graduated from a radio journalism education, but what he really wanted to do was comedy, radio comedy, and entertainment. He had listened to some American actual play podcasts, Nerd Poker. He's a huge fan of Dan Harmon of Rick and Morty fame. And Dan Harmon had done a couple of shows as well, implementing role-playing games as kind of a vehicle to do humor. And Mikael knew that I was really into role-playing games. And I really was. Mikael was not at all as familiar with the role-playing game scene, as it were, as I was. I'm one of those long-time forever GMs, game masters. But also I came from a couple of years in advertising, and the reason I bring our backgrounds up is that I think that this is still incredibly visible in the DNA of the podcast, and kind of important as to why it's gone the way it's gone. So my radio comedy friend, he comes to me and he wants us to do a role-playing game, actual play podcast, and I like that idea. But being familiar with the role-playing game space, it was my idea that we should play Svavelvinter, which is a very classic, old, famous, well-established Swedish campaign that is held in very high regard in the Swedish role-playing scene. And my assumption here, coming from the advertising industry, which is a horrible place, and I don't recommend it to anyone, but some perspectives can be useful sometimes. And my assumption was that, much like me, there should be a bunch of guys out there, a whole generation probably, with very fun memories of playing Svavelvinter and that material in someone's basement during very formative years. Guys who would now be in their late 30s and early 40s, and would probably get a huge nostalgia kick from hearing a group go through it for the first time, and a group of beginners at that. I was convinced there was an audience with the potential to connect pretty strongly to what we were about to do. And again, this was from personal experience. I figured if I feel this way, other people should too, right? So yeah, I was freelancing at the time. There was a podcasting studio where I was freelancing. Mike saw the studio. Mike pitched the idea. I suggested the classic campaign, and then we just needed players. And when we were looking for players, we recruited friends. We did not look for people who were super duper experienced role-playing gamers or anything like that. The main factors for us when looking for people to do this with was personal chemistry and functioning together as a group. So it made sense for us to look among our friends. We also wanted mixed genders, not only because it's just should in general, but also for the sound profile, because you need to strive to have varied voices. So yeah, basically we just recruited a bunch of our friends that we enjoyed hanging out with, and I believe the fact that we are a group of friends is one of the most fundamental aspects of the podcast, and I will get back to this. So yeah, that is basically how it all started, and the initial response was pretty positive, and it turned out that my assumptions about the audience were largely correct. There were a couple of people who got in touch and were like, yeah, I played this when I was 12 and now I'm 50 and I have a wife and sons and a dog and a car and I can't play anymore, but it's so nice to hear you play when I can't play. And that, I think, was a strong drive for us early on. However, obviously you can't please everyone, and the negative response we got early on is also pretty interesting, because basically a lot of people felt that we weren't being serious enough, or the game master was being very serious, but not the players, or well, that particular player is not being serious enough, and that's ruining it totally, and so on. So yeah, we kind of got a mixed initial response, I'd say. But then something pretty nice happened, and the original author of the material that we were playing, the Svavelvinter campaign, his name is Erik Granström, and he was in the process of writing fantasy novels based on this old gaming material at the time. And somehow he found out about our podcast pretty early on, and he was very enthusiastic and really embraced us, and shared us in social media and so on. And I think that actually helped a lot to kind of silence some of those critics who thought we weren't, serious enough or dramatic enough or true to canon enough, as it were. But I think it's interesting that there was still this group of people who felt that we were playing the wrong way, and we will return to these people as well as we move forward in this story. So yeah, moving on to the first few years, and these people are the characters from our Coriolis campaign, the science fiction campaign that we did as kind of a palate cleanser. And one interesting thing that started happening the first few years, when we had been doing this for maybe 2 years or something, a whole bunch more Swedish actual play podcasts started appearing, which we felt was really, really cool. We like to think that we, inspired people. And you can do that in 2 ways. You can do it in a positive way, which is like, hey, these guys are doing something that I really enjoy. I want to do something like that. But I think we maybe even inspired more people in the bad way, which is, oh, these guys are misrepresenting the hobby. I need to represent the hobby properly and show everyone how role-playing games are actually supposed to be played. And indeed, there was actually quite a bit of podcasts that came for a while who took a much more serious approach than we did. Some of them are still around, and then of course there are a whole bunch who are less serious as well, and some of those are still around as well. But there is a small Swedish podcasting scene that I'm not really a very active part of, but I think it's very nice that it exists. And I've heard the opinion sometimes that Vi Spelar Rollspel, which there simply is no other Swedish actual play podcasts with the kind of numbers that we have. And some people have told me that it is because you had a first mover advantage. And indeed, when we started out doing the podcast, there wasn't really any Swedish-speaking actual play podcast going on. There was maybe 1 or 2, but they didn't release material regularly. And it maybe wasn't that well produced. And I think the thing that we did that no one else had done at that point was to have continuity and predictability in our releases. Yeah, I also think that the fact that no other podcast has really surpassed us makes it interesting to kind of figure out why things are still going well. But I don't think that it seems weird to me to assume that someone else would be better and just move past us. And I think you kind of assume that when you talk about a first mover advantage. However, the first few years, as we grew, there were things we tried but largely abandoned. Maybe a little bit in response to all the new podcasts suddenly appearing and us feeling like, yeah, maybe we should try to, change it up. And one thing we tried but largely abandoned was doing interviews with the makers of role-playing games. And having guest game masters from other podcasts, and this was an initiative that I was driving because I felt that we really had to kind of establish ourselves as role-playing gamers and show that we were proper members of the role-playing scene and the role-playing community. And I believe Mikael probably pulled maybe in a little bit of a different way. But what we found out when doing this and looking at the listener numbers and things like that was that the listeners that we had cultivated, they cared a lot more about us interacting with each other than they did about role-playing as a hobby. And this was a little bit of a surprise to me, and probably the first sign for me that this role-playing game podcast that you're doing, it's not really about role-playing games. So yeah, we abandoned that after maybe a year and a half, I think. We also did live shows and conventions. I should say we still do the GothCon live show, but for a while we did many more, and just visiting conventions in general. And live shows can be really fun and really energizing, and it can be really great to meet listeners and have a few beers afterwards. But actually doing the show can be uniquely demanding because it's live. You can't edit anything out. It's a much more insecure space than being in a studio. And I think four of us in the podcast have played in bands. I think that helps a little bit. But yeah, live shows presents their own problems and opportunities. Some of us enjoy it, some of us don't enjoy it, but the compromise for us has been to do our annual live show in Gothenburg, and that's it. Then, of course, there are things that we discovered worked really well and try to double down on during the first couple of years. And the big one probably, which I've alluded to a couple of times already, is the parasocial aspect. And as our audience grew, we came to understand that, listeners were developing parasocial relationships to us. Like I said, it's kind of a buzzword, so I've been helpful and put the Wikipedia entry for you right there, parasocial interaction. But basically, it's forming what feels like a reciprocal relationship with a media personality or a fiction character, basically. And the way we discovered this was that we've gotten emails from listeners who were perhaps 12 when they started listening to us, who are now in their late teens or early 20s, and they have role-playing groups of their own. And they've described how we've been a constant companion through formative years and sometimes difficult episodes. Adults have shared similar stories, and where does this come from? And I think it becomes a bit obvious when you think about who we were, and we were friends. We were a group of friends. We talk like friends when we do the podcast. We interact as friends, and our banter is because we're friends. it's inherently warm and honest, and laughs are always close because we don't really modulate our personalities in the podcast at all. How you hear us behave there is very, very close to how we behave privately, because, like I said, we're friends. And I believe that listening to any such group of friends talking for extended periods of time, being personal with each other and occasionally private, a significant amount of listeners will grow to feel like they know these persons personally. And this is the core of the parasocial relationship. And it is a very powerful force. And for us, I think it's entirely fundamental, or for any personality-driven media, really. So yeah, we discovered that this was very, very important, both with, you know, doing the long campaigns and having long character arcs in those campaigns. People also developed parasocial relationships to the actual characters in the fiction as well as to the players, which is kind of unique, I suppose. You could draw a parallel to you know, the fandom of a particular TV series being fans of both the actor and the character, maybe, or something like that. But I think it having multiple layers of parasociality like that makes them enhance each other, in my experience. And also, this could be, if you look at our Patreon, it can kind of be seen as an invitation for listeners to strengthen their parasocial bond with us. On the lowest level, they get access to our variety podcast, where we don't actually game, we just interact with listener posts and answer listener questions and stuff like that, and talk about whatever we like and just goof around. So they get to know us even more, and we interact with them. And then on the highest Patreon level, the members get access to what is a largely unedited recording of maybe a 4-hour session before it is edited into a shorter or 2 shorter regular episodes. So that means that they get to hear us very unfiltered. And I still think it's like, to me, it feels really weird that people would want to give money to hear something that is more poorly edited than the free product. But that kind of shines the spotlight on the power of parasociality, I assume. So yeah, and especially yeah, with the length of the long-running campaigns, that is important. So yeah, the parasocial aspect was something we discovered and really doubled down upon, and this carried over into our play style as well, as I kept being the GM for this particular group, and as Mikael kept editing the podcast. Our experiences made us develop how we approach the format. So, for example, with the 1-hour episode format, maybe a 1-hour episode is 1.5 hours or 2 hours of actual recorded material. And when we start to approach 1 hour of recording, both me and Mikael typically start looking at each other, because we know that we need to find some silly cliffhanger just to end on a high note. And it started out as an in-joke in the podcast that each 1-hour episode should end with, you know, a violin stab, dun, 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 and everybody shouting, cliffhanger. So that is something that we always try to put in there, even when we're doing more serious stuff. So yeah, like always gaming, for me as a GM, always looking for, you know, that next good place to pause, and having a kind of TV series perspective on it. Like, if you watch a TV series, you want something to happen during that hour, if at all possible. Our playstyle also involved moving from crunchy mechanics, from rolling a lot of dice and checking a lot of tables, to more quick systems. Like it should be one roll, it should be quick, it should carry the action forward. And we moved from more old school traditional games to more recent, if you know your role-playing game lingo, powered by the apocalypse games, which made more happen each episode because there was less rules checking out and stuff like that that we had to do. And finally, our playstyle also developed a lot by us learning each other, and me, I think, learning to really follow the players. And this is a role-playing game cliche almost. The game master should always follow the players, because the players will try to do what they find fun, and you should follow them and accommodate them and doing that. And if you do that, then you will get them in a good enough mood to present them to whatever creative vision it is that you're having. And even though I had been game mastering for quite some time, I hadn't really internalized this yet. I had these, and I think this is very typical of people who like to be game masters in role-playing games, especially when they're young, with grand ideas they want to subject their friends to, and then their friends just perceive, this strange guy getting all grumpy because they don't understand what they're supposed to do, So over the time, I think I've started to see what we do as me bring in a particular genre to this group of friends, and they're essentially a document shredder that I just run, like, the fantasy genre or the cyberpunk genre or whatever through, and then we gather around and kind of pick up the pieces and see how they fit together almost. It sounds very chaotic, but I think it's really important that you need to follow the players as a game master. You can't force your own visions on them. And in this context as well, for me, like also having to consider not only the players as an audience to the stories that we are creating, but also the listeners. There's a second audience that I have to consider as well. And for me personally, I think that only enhanced positive game master habits, like, keeping the plot moving and so on. Others might feel differently. Just to wake you guys up a little bit, I've thrown in a slide here with a bunch of fan art, and I guess this is kind of a good way to follow up on the importance of parasociality. All of this is stuff that listeners have made and sent to us, and the photo in the middle there is a picture from Lund, 1923, which is a convention with a bit of a Lovecraftian theme. It was one of our most well-visited shows. There's at least 10 more people in that picture looking at us play. But yeah, as you can imagine, getting stuff like this feels amazing. And it really, especially for those of us in the podcast who didn't have previous experience with public-facing stuff, like 4 of us have played in bands, but those who didn't, it was really beautiful to see how getting love like this affected them, and it made it feel even better for us as well. So I want to put in this slide as well. Mikael's projects. You might recall I said that he just wanted to do radio comedy, man, initially when we started the podcast. Every now and then, the last couple of years, Mikael has utilized this group of friends and the routine we've built up and the equipment we have to pursue his own comedy projects. The first one was A Song of Fishes and Birds, translated. And it's basically a super strange retelling of Game of Thrones, but in a sort of bizarro Swedish West Coast environment. It's really strange. Channel 101 is not created by Mikael, but rather it's an American-based digital sketch comedy network where various up-and-coming comedy groups do improv comedy, and then people get to vote which contributions move forward and so on. So Mikael, he wrote a bunch of comedy sketches for this, and one of us, Josefin, actually won an award for it, which was pretty amazing. And from all the crazy comedy skits and sketches and things that he wrote for Channel 101, he finally wrote Jurassic Fart, which is, it's even dumber than it sounds, actually. It's basically a retelling of Jurassic Fart that evolves into The Matrix, and it's all about people trying to tame farts. I shouldn't really say anything more about it. But the reason I want to bring this up in this context is because the podcast wouldn't be the same without these projects. I'm pretty sure Mikael wouldn't enjoy the podcast and putting in all the work that he does as much without being able to do stuff like this. And mainly, I think it really highlights the identity or the DNA of this podcast. You could argue that the only Swedish-speaking role-playing game podcast that's been larger than us was Rollspelsklubben, who are not around anymore. And if you have like a scale with pure comedy on one end and pure serious dramatic role-playing gaming on the other, Rollspelsklubben, they went all in for comedy. Isak, who did it, he's a comedian, and he invited comedians, particularly comedians, to play. And it was basically using the role-playing game form as a platform for stand-up comedy. We don't do that. I mean, we're a bunch of friends who enjoy playing role-playing games together. We're not professional comedians by any stretch of the imagination, but we enjoy stuff like that a lot more than I think probably the majority of actual play podcasts, though I'm not sure. But I think it's I think the humor part of it and the putting on a show part of it is a very important part of Vi Spelar Rollspel and our identity. And I think this highlights that. So the last few years leading up to today, here we have the characters from our Call of Cthulhu game. We played a super long campaign called Horror on the Orient Express, which I played in my youth as well. The long campaigns are really the main product that we do, and we won't stop doing that. The great strength with them is that they allow the characters to really grow. They allow the players to really grow into and take control over an evolving narrative that the listeners, the more time spent on it, invests more and more parasociality in. And I'd even argue that the parasociality is the actual product. It wears role-playing game clothes, but it's actually feeling like you're sitting with us on the same table and just hanging out and listening to us having fun playing a role-playing game. So yeah, we're going to keep doing that. We've also killed a couple of darlings, as you say, when you terminate ideas that you don't really believe in. me and Mikael are still, talking how to try to evolve the podcast in various ways. One thing we were really into maybe 2 years back was that we should really involve celebrities somehow. Like there's a whole bunch of like Anders Jansson even has his own gaming podcast and so on and so forth. And we had a list. And yeah, we got very positive responses, and I don't know if it's just me that's really bad at approaching people, but it seems like you really have to move a different way. But then we kind of got bored with the entire idea, and we kind of remembered that, yeah, our listeners like to hear us interacting. And then again, if you want to grow your audience, maybe trying to get celebrities on would be a thing. But both of us noticed that no, the other one didn't really want to. And I noticed myself, like, I'm dragging my feet behind doing this. Why am I avoiding doing this? It's because I don't really believe in it, actually. But it was kind of fascinating how stoked we were to do that, and then sort of completely started ignoring it. Moving up towards the future and kind of ending this, here we have the characters of our just recently launched next big campaign, which we're having great fun with, and it feels great to finally be back again. But I think right now, after 10 years, 11 years, what happened during this time was that we discovered why the thing we do, why it works, and where do you go from that realization? Do you really double down and try to make more of the same, or do you try to evolve and maybe lose a little bit of what was that secret sauce in the first place? And one thing that's happened recently for us is that Mikael, who's been doing the editing for 10 years, after 10 years, he's gotten a little bit bored with it, which is understandable. So we're sharing the editing, and it's interesting to kind of try to absorb 10 years of editing experience from your friend. So me and 2 other guys in the podcast are doing this. Also, more and more we've started to share the creative mandates, and as some of you are probably familiar with, in role-playing games, typically the game master has the creative mandate, so to speak. The game master, what he says goes, basically. And he controls the world and so on. And one thing that we're doing more and more is to, I will ask the players to define things about the setting as we proceed. And the material we're playing now, which is completely homebrew, as opposed to some famous written campaign, we really have to do this, and this for us is a way to move away from doing our own thing with pre-written material, and instead moving into what we believe is what we do best, which is our particular way of interacting and making things up. So this is a change, and I guess this also represents a bit of an evolution. In summary, I guess discover what you enjoy enough to do well, and do that even better, and always have fun, is what we've been doing throughout all of this. So yeah, that's pretty much what I had to say. I hope it wasn't too crazy and rambling, and I'm curious if anyone has questions.
First of all, thank you, Axel. That was a really interesting, and as you said, it's open to ask any questions you might have. If you want to raise your hand before, that's probably easier. But I think I will start, actually, because I don't see any hands up right now. You mentioned this parasocial relationships. That's basically people feeling that they are your friends,
Yeah.
even though you have never met in person, right? Has that come across in any way at conventions or stuff like that, where people come up and talk to you?
Doing live shows is the main venue for us, or avenue for us to meet listeners physically, and it's always great. Honestly, I love it. Like people have such nice things to say, and people want to talk to you, and you get told that you made people start to role play. And you get all kinds of wonderful stories, and and this is a huge thing for me personally. Like, I mean, not only doing something that I really enjoy, but having others enjoy it too is an incredible gift, really. Also, you have to set boundaries because obviously this isn't an unproblematic topic in any way. I mean, there's been weird things. I probably should
follow up, actually,
but there has been weird things, yes. So, but okay. Even when setting boundaries, it is incredibly important to remain respectful and kind, because no matter what you think of the person in front of you or who they are, they've invested significant time and energy into something that you made, and they at least deserve to be heard out, at least a little bit. Yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah.
So one question that I might have a little bit, because I'm not a board game designer, but I'm like one perspective that I'm a bit curious is because I keep coming back to in my head, like the word audience, right? And designing a board game, the players of your board game are very much an audience as well, right?
Absolutely.
And you have to design for that audience in mind, but you can't be there to control how they interact with what you've created.
No, not really.
So, but I think that it might be, and maybe this is already an established perspective in board game design, but maybe it can be beneficial to like consider the entire product that you're making, everything tells a little bit of a story to the audience or the player, right? And it might be interesting to not only frame the players as players, but as audience as well. That's just something I wanted to throw out there. Yeah,
absolutely. That's a good perspective to have as a game designer as well. And one of the kind of a very common tip for new designers is to try to find an audience and design with that audience in mind, because if you want to design something for everyone, then you're designing for no one, basically. So yeah, finding a target audience is really important in both of our worlds, I guess.
Yeah, and I think again, like bringing this back to the inception of the podcast, I think the advertising work paid off when I realized there was a target audience there, and I think like getting to those people, and many of them have kids, and many of them want to share this hobby with their kids, and then it's really simple for them to have this kind of punky, a little bit edgy podcast of people who are not obvious nerds, but are still playing role-playing games, just like Daddy did when he was young. I don't know, and but because I've seen like many of our younger listeners have actually been introduced to our podcast by their parents, which feels super weird in a way, but it's fun.
Yeah, surreal, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't be afraid to ask questions if you have any, and I will monitor the chat as well.
I have one.
As usual.
If
Absolutely.
you can hear me.
Go ahead, Anton.
I'm not sure if my microphone works, but I think so. I'm curious if you like redesigned the game in some way, the game that you play.
Yes, I did.
To fit the game group.
Yeah. In particular, when playing the old classic Swedish campaign, there are some what I would today consider old school game design sensibilities. There are some very, very powerful non-player characters that are destined for very important actions in the drama to unfold. That always rubbed me the wrong way, because it should be the player characters doing those cool things and being the ones with really interesting ties to the background and so forth. I combined certain non-player characters with player characters, and made like the female half-elf thief assassin. She was actually the long-lost daughter of the villain, and so forth and so on. Things for them to discover, and so on. Really to like improve the drama. And then mechanically, it's always assumed a little bit, I think, when playing role-playing games, that you house rule a lot, and that you play in your own particular way. At your table, one rule is active; at another table, it's not. I don't think we've ever run anything super strictly by the book, with very few exceptions. If the rules carry very like, what I enjoy most in role-playing games is when the rules enforce the genre that the game is set in, where the rules really tell you something about the world, those are rules I don't like to change in general.
Nice.
Yes, Andreas. You're muted still, so.
Yes, sorry. I was just wondering, you were talking about you were going towards more freer playing, like PBTA, towards that way. Would you like to say something more about that freedom and why you did that, and
Sure, yeah,
and so on?
So when we started playing, the what would you call it? The rules tradition we were playing in was basic role playing, which is used in old Swedish games and Call of Cthulhu and many games. That system, it took too much time, and when we found out about the PBTA systems, they are very different. Like the rules in those systems are not really meant to simulate a reality. Rather, they're meant to emulate a genre, I guess is one way to put it. So instead of, in a combat situation, checking a bunch of modifiers and stuff like that, and what weapon are you using, how powerful is the enemy, what are the stats of the enemy, and so on and so forth. In PBTA, I mean, for starters, as a game master, I don't even make rolls. Only the players roll, because it's really only their characters that are important. A monster attack coming at them will always hit them unless they do something. And rather than having a series of checks based on trying to imagine what is realistic, you have a series of checks balanced on how you would imagine this portrayed in an action movie, and maybe one check for every interesting scene. So it's a shifting perspective from having the game system try to simulate the reality to instead having a system that helps you tell a particular kind of fiction. And for us, doing what we do, that suits us a lot better. Does that make sense?
Yes. And how does your listeners react to this shift?
I think there were some disappointment among older listeners that we abandoned the more traditional ways of playing, because they lost a bit of nostalgia factor in that. I think we can't play only systems like that. There's also been a little bit of pushback from players actually who actually want more verisimilitude and maybe want 30 different skills instead of 6 stats or whatever. So yeah, I think the most difficult games system was probably when we used ironically the game system written particularly for Svavelvinter by Free League. So yeah, but I shouldn't get into that right now. But what I will say is that it wasn't only positive, and that we will have to strive for a balance, doing a little bit of both, a little bit of more old schooly rules, but maybe with more new schooly sensibilities in how we interpret them. I think I don't want to go full Powered by the Apocalypse again, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. I don't know if there is a queue behind me, or
yeah, we have one more
question
in the queue,
okay.
but
then
we'll get
I'll...
back to you. Yes, Tor, go ahead.
Yes, I don't know if this is a question or just an observation. That I think when we design board games, we often can get into a corner where we realize that we're designing a role-playing game. And or perhaps we're designing something that should make a better video game, because it's gets too complicated, and then it's a video game, or it gets too open, and then it's a role-playing game. So we have like this slot where we fit in. And about PBTA, that's Powered by the Apocalypse, right? I just wanted to say that, so if someone was wondering. And I mean, role-playing came out of wargaming from the beginning, I guess. And so it's the opening, the step to go into talking about scenes and having a different abstraction. I think that suits us board gamers a lot, because we also think about abstractions, how to really boil something down and still not get too many rules, because we also want few rules. but simple rules. But I think it's quite hard to create board games that tell stories the way that role-playing games do. But it's for me, it's always the holy grail to get to that point where you can like tell a story without having endless amounts of cards and text and things like that.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, I think it's funny when you say that, like board gamers realize they're actually designing a role-playing game. Like every time I try to design a role-playing game, it becomes a board game somehow, because there's always a bunch of resource management and stuff that I enjoy. But it's interesting also because like talking about video games for a second, right? The video games that are typically called, role-playing games, computer role-playing games, I don't feel at all when playing them like I do when being around the table with my friends making shit up. However, when I play video games like RimWorld or Crusader Kings, or these huge, massive sandboxes of interconnected systems, essentially generating a constant stream of events that I can affect, that brings me very, very close to the headspace I'm in when playing tabletop role-playing games, because most of the stuff is happening in your head. You're imagining, this extremely dangerous vote in the Galactic Senate or whatever, right? And one of my absolute favorite video games is actually a card game called Cultist Simulator, which is quite fantastic. It's basically a card game with a bunch of timers. That's all the mechanics. But through very, very small narrative elements on the cards, they create this vast semi-Lovecraftian horror universe that never really, tells a specific plot out for you, but the interactions with the cards generate vivid headcanon in my mind. Yeah, that might, I guess there's a certain type of people who function like I do with that stuff.
Okay, so we are passing back to Andreas. Please go ahead.
Woohoo! No, I was just wondering if you got some examples of board games that has got a strong story or is mixed between role-playing games and board games that you have found, well, they are good games, so to say.
I think, I would argue that Risk tells a story. Monopoly tells a story. They're horrible stories. They're stories about massive wars and, capitalist exploitation. But like, there's still a story there somehow, right? And then you can go more, with more heavily narrative games like, what's that huge several kilos heavy box that is basically Dungeons and Dragons called? Frosthaven. No?
Gloomhaven.
Gloomhaven, right, yeah. And I mean that is basically a super luxurious Dungeons and Dragons campaign, I'd argue, in a way. But that is, that's pretty heavy on story, right? And isn't there also board games where you create stories, like creative storytelling card games and stuff like that? Yeah.
I think so, yes.
Yeah. Admittedly, I'm not a huge board gamer. Like Mikael is, my pod colleague, is more into that than I am. But in many ways, like your gaming, the board gaming scene almost seems to have more varied and rich products than the role-playing space somehow. I mean, you guys have so much now. It has exploded. There are so many different types of games for each imaginable type of person. It feels like to me sometimes, at least.
Yeah, that's because all the role-playing designers have accidentally created board games instead, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's why we grow as a hobby, I guess. I can imagine. Yeah, but I think I just wanted to also throw in an observation. I think the key difference between a board game and a role-playing game is the, can you say, granularity of the agency. Like in a role-playing game, you can make a tiny, tiny difference in your action that would make a huge difference in how the story is unfolded. But when you're creating a board game, you cannot have that kind of a granularity because components and stuff. So you need components and rules for everything. So in order to be able to handle all the components and the rules and remember everything, you need to make it a bit more chunky, so to speak.
That's a very good observation.
Yeah, and the key strength of a role-playing game, I would say, is that the players are open to explore the world in any way they want to, and that's kind of amazing.
But like you say, granularity of agency. I like that. Yeah, that's good. I'll remember that.
Yes, and we have a question in the chat from Johan. Does anyone know a good example of an open-ended board game? That's a good question. Open-ended board game, it's tough, I guess.
I would like you as well. I would like to point you in the direction of a trend which is kind of mysterious to me still, but solo RPGing is a growing hobby, and many role-playing games released today have separate rules for solo play, which I find really interesting. And I've been reading one recently that basically suggests that you keep a little journal as you go on your adventure with your hero. And instead of a game master, you have what they call oracles, which is essentially a huge collection of random tables triggered by various encounters. I've been actually curious to give that a try because I've been wondering what all the fuss is about. I see a lot of talk about it, but it's also a little bit sad, I think, because it's, to me, it's such an intrinsically social hobby, you know.
Yeah, the solo board games has also gone. It has become a standard thing almost in new games, depending on the type of game, of course. I think most of the more social-heavy games does not go with the social solo version. I mean, yes. Did you have anything you wanted to say, Johan? I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to be quiet here. The rest of my family is sleeping, so I'm typing instead of talking. But I feel that a key difference between board games and tabletop role-playing games is the open-endedness that you have. In a board game, there is an end state. Someone is winning and the game is over. In role-playing, it's both. It's a story in both cases, but the role-playing is the goal is not to win. The goal is and you're much more open to just exploring the world, living your character, and things like that. But I have a feeling that there are some tabletop board games that are open-ended, that you just go explore. Yeah, maybe Sleeping Gods. I haven't played it, but it feels like a kind of open-ended game. If anyone here has played it, I'd be happy to see what you think about that.
Yeah.
Sounds really cool. I'd love to throw in a little plug for one of my favorite role-playing games as well. That kind of touches upon this, Red Markets. In the original American version, it's a zombie apocalypse. There's no way around it. But the thing is that America is divided between the loss and the recession, right? And the loss is everything to the west of the Mississippi. Everybody there is legally dead, even though there are survivors. They're in society's eyes, they're dead. And to the east of the Mississippi, in the recession, society soldiers on, basically. And the characters are takers, which is survivors in the loss, who leave their survivor enclaves to loot stuff in the wasteland and fighting zombies and that stuff. And the goal of every character in this game is to get 40 bounty. What is bounty? Bounty is an abstracted currency in the game. And when you have 40 of that currency, then you can pay enough to take your dependents, which is another game technical term, but it's the loved ones that depend on you doing this dangerous stuff. When you have 40 bounty, you can take them over the wall and live a happy life in the recession, right? So there's a super clearly defined goal. And even though you create your own character, your character is always going to be this taker, right? And I think I see that more and more in many role-playing games. Talking about how all the role-playing or board game designers started making role-playing games or whatever. Like it's this clarity of vision, like clarity of concept, I think is influencing role-playing games from board games a lot and has been for a couple of years. And I quite like it, to be honest. I think it's nice to have a clear idea of what kind of story you're going to tell, with all the open-endedness and joy of exploration still.
Yeah, and it's like the boundaries creating, allowing the creativity.
Exactly.
I just came up with another board game tabletop game that is open-ended. I think the card game Once Upon a Time.
Right. Yeah. I actually have that. I haven't played it for years, but yeah.
That's a very good game.
Yeah, it's a very particular game as well. It's not like playing to win. It's telling a story.
Mm.
Okay. Do we have any more questions? We will soon take a break, and after the break, we will continue with an unrecorded discussion for those who want to. Axel, will you stick around for that, or do you have to leave?
I have to leave. I'm sorry, but it's been really, really nice talking with you, and I feel like we got some good talking done here as well. So
absolutely,
I hope you can take that with you. Thank you very much for having me, guys.
Yes, thank you. And also, I want to ask you, where can people find this podcast?
Vi Spelar Rollspel.se or Spotify or wherever podcasts are found.
Okay, I could imagine, but nice to hear you say. Okay, thank you again very much for joining us tonight and for giving us this presentation. And thank you for everyone. Thank you to everyone else who have joined us as well and have taken part in the discussion. It's been great. I see you in, let's say, 10 minutes or something like that.
Good night, everyone. Thank you so much.
Bye.